February 5, when the money started coming in, did RCBC knew about it, right?
Settlements department.
The
yes.
settlement department. What other departments knew about it?
The branch. The
The
branches.
branch.
That's it.
Okay, and usually, si settlement is your check to the branch. Or is that a parallel process, or are they supposed to cross-check each other?
Your Honor, the process is the first point of entry is through settlements
Okay.
because that's the inward remittance.
And pumasa siya sa settlements.
And from settlements point of view, on a transaction per transaction during that day, it passed muster.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, that was the time it was flagged as unusual when they were taken collectively, Your Honor.
Okay. So, the time na flag siya, no? Ibig sabihin, oh, may problema ito, is end of day, not during the transaction.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, at that time, it was flagged that there was a problem. When you flag transactions and accounts, naka-note na yun, di ba? That's noted already.
Yes, Your Honor.
What check was done to this? Did settlements call the branch manager?
So as per procedure, Your Honor, and this is what happened on February 5, when the transactions were flagged, the settlements officers called the branch for disposition processing.
Okay, and I'm sure you've done your investigation on this. They asked branch manager Digito kung ano to, and what did she say?
At the time, Your Honor, they were not able to talk to the branch manager. According to the officers that we talked to, she was busy on the phone with clients.
Okay.
So we were only able to talk to the CSH,
Okay.
Mr. Agarado,
Okay.
and Miss Angela Torres.
Okay.
And at the time, Your Honor, when that happens, then we escalate.
Okay. Can I ask Miss Torres, who is here, no? Miss Digito, you agree with this testimony so far? Hindi kayo nakausap? Kasi busy daw kayo.
Wala naman pong tumawag sa akin.
Okay. Let me ask Miss Torres. Miss Torres, do you recall this conversation mula sa settlements na nagtatanong kung ano ba itong mga transaksyong ito? And we're referring to the four fictitious accounts na may pumasok na $81 million. Naalala niyo po yun?
Hindi po totoo yun, Your Honor. Wala pong tumatawag sa branch.
Let me ask, sir, what is your name? Yes, sir, what's your name?
Your Honor, I'm Dennis Bancod. I'm head of IT and operations.
Bancod.
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
Mr. Bancod, in your records, meron bang tumawag kay Miss Torres?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who is that person?
That is the head of settlements, Miss Mercy Quaresma,
Okay, and do
and
you have
also
any,
the operations manager.
meron ba tayong record sa phone or was it through a landline? Is there a record that that phone call happened?
Unfortunately, Your Honor, we do not have a record of the phone calls.
So, Miss Torres, you're saying walang tumawag sa'yo mula sa branch.
Wala po, Your Honor.
Let me ask Maya. Maya, on February 5, meron, in your testimony, meron bang tumawag mula sa branch to check on the transactions?
Your Honor, you mean from head office?
Yes.
Wala po. Kaya
February 5,
Yes
February
po.
5.
Kaya nga po nagpa-email ako sa settlements sila because I wanted to get a copy of that MT-103 because they outright credited the accounts without calling the branch.
But that's February 9, no?
5.
Also on February 5.
The funds came in February 5.
But yung email mo is on what day?
What do you mean po?
Yung sinasabi mong pina-check mo, di ba? Sabi mo, you asked
That
settlement.
was February 5, Your Honor.
February 5, okay. So on February 5, natanggap ba natin yung, did the settlements receive that email of branch manager Digito asking to check on these transactions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and what happened?
So we responded to that email and sent them a copy of the notices, Your Honor.
What are these notices?
These were the MT-103 inward notices, Your Honor, inward remittance.
Okay, can you remind me, 103 is?
This is the request to credit the account.
Okay, so hindi pa to yung request to stop, no? Which was the 999. This
Yes,
is just
Your Honor.
a request to credit.
Yes,
So,
Your Honor.
nung tinanong ni Ms. Digito si settlements through an email, settlements said, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. At the time, actually, it was already credited.
Okay.
And they were just asking for a copy of the remittance notice. And at the time, the end of day review hasn't happened yet.
Okay. So, you're saying, nung tinanong ni Ms. Digito, and she emailed settlements, and we have a record of that, at sumagot yung settlements, hindi pa nafa-flag nung panahong yon.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so this goes back to 2 hearings ago when we talked about meron bang mga check and balance versus amounts, no? And I think Mr. Lorenzo Tan mentioned before that RCBC did not have standards with regard to particular amounts, no? That's right, Mr. Tan.
I remember mentioning, Your Honor, 1 billion threshold.
Okay.
Yes.
But that was not a written rule, no? That's an medyo unwritten rule. Or was that that's actually a rule within the bank?
Your Honor, it was a system-defined threshold.
Okay.
So it's a part of the system.
Magkano bang 1 billion dollars o pesos?
1 billion peso, Your Honor, so that would be about $23 million.
Okay, so kung may 1 more million sana itong transaction na to, the system would have caught it?
If I will recall the February 5 incident, Your Honor, of the 4 transactions, and this is what Attorney Estevillo has explained in the last hearing, of the 2 transactions, 2 were actually put on hold by the system because of the threshold.
Okay, so na-hold siya ng sistema kasi lumampas siya sa 1 billion pesos, no? Tama?
That's true, Your Honor.
Okay, and what was the action done?
So at the time when it's put on hold, Your Honor, then human eyes will look at it because the system has stopped it. And at the time, it was deemed normal because they were processing transactions with those amounts.
Okay, so you're saying pangkaraniwan naman yung ganung level with the branch of, with Jupiter branch of RCBC?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, have we changed these rules since this happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
What are the reforms that you have instituted so that we can make sure these types of transactions won't happen again?
One of them, Your Honor, is we've lowered the threshold significantly.
Ano na po yung threshold?
If it's all right, Your Honor, for us not to disclose to
Okay.
allow us to have some security for our bank, but it's significantly lower.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Your Honor, we've also now we've also increased the number of reviews, so we're not waiting for end-of-day reviews anymore.
Okay.
So we've also increased the number of reviews throughout the day.
Okay, so natuloy na-encash na. On February 9, the request from Bangladesh comes in. Okay, and this is my question. If on February 5, na-flag na siya, on February 9, wasn't there a check that these are the transactions that were flagged on February 5 and that these are accounts that didn't have a valid address? Kasi we look at it on a day per day, no? February 9, may pumasok na request, ay, hindi naman to court order. February 5, may mga lumampas dun sa breach, na breach yung levels. Eh, anyway, na-check naman kay, according to them, kay Ms. Torres. Aren't our systems, or don't we have systems that track all of these different changes? Kasi, I'm trying to understand, no? These accounts, may mga fictitious address. On February 5, lumampas dun sa levels natin yung dalawa. On February 9, may sulat tayo or may request tayo, even if we didn't recognize it as a central bank. But aren't these accounts tagged each step of the way?
Your
Yes.
Honor, our system does not tag that, but it's actually a very good suggestion for us to incorporate for future changes. But I also would like to just refer back to February 9. Had we been given the opportunity when we received the requests for freeze from Bangladesh, we would have done something and frozen them. But Maya had conveniently changed the facts of what happened on that day, because when she received the first order request, she immediately rushed the processing of the balances that were still in the 4 accounts. So that's the difference. But had we had the opportunity, we would have held them.
Yeah, let me get to
followed.
that point later na. We'll go to Maya. But just on this point, yung mga tao na nag-check nung addresses within the bank, yung mga tao na nakakita na sumobra dun sa threshold on February 5 at yung mga tao sa February 9 na nakatanggap nung request ng Bangladesh, hindi magkakaparehan? They were not the same people? Or were they the same people?
Different and some are the same, Your Honor.
And there was wala nagsabi, uy, ito yung nag-red flag nung February 5. Or wala nagsabi, ay, let me check nga kung may address talaga to o wala.
Your Honor, because we have so many accounts, we were not able to track. And I understand the only way we could track that is through an electronic system, which at that time and up to now is not in place. But
Okay. But let me state lang for the record that maybe this is really an important
yes, Your Honor.
possible reform that,
Yes, Your
that you
Honor.
can do,
Thank
no?
you.
Na each step of the way, kung meron ng suspicious, kumbaga you build a track record of accounts which maybe initially hindi pa ganun ka-suspicious, but eventually with all of these different things,
Yes.
nagiging suspicious siya, no? Because
Yes, Your Honor.
you're able to check. Now,
Your Honor, they were not able to talk to the branch manager. According to the officers that we talked to, she was busy on the phone with clients.
okay,
So we were only able to talk to the CSH,
Okay.
Mr. Agarado,
okay,
and Miss Angela Torres.
okay.
And at the time, Your Honor, when that happens, then we escalate.
Okay. February 5, when the money started coming in, did RCBC knew about it, right?
Settlements Department.
The
Yes.
settlement department. What other departments knew about it?
The branch. The
The
branches.
branch.
That's it.
Okay, and usually, si settlement is your check to the branch. Or is that a parallel process, or are they supposed to cross-check each other? So, the time na flag siya, no? Ibig sabihin, oh, may problema ito, is end of day, not during the transaction.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, at that time, it was flagged that there was a problem. When you flag transactions and accounts, naka-note na yun, di ba? That's noted already.
Yes, Your Honor.
What check was done to this? Did settlements call the branch manager?
Your Honor, the process is the first point of entry is through settlements
Okay.
because that's an inward remittance.
And pumasa siya sa settlements.
And from settlements point of view, on a transaction per transaction during that day, it passed muster.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, that was the time it was flagged as unusual when they were taken collectively, Your Honor.
Okay. Major?
So as per procedure, Your Honor, and this is what happened on February 5, when the transactions were flagged, the settlements officers called the branch for disposition processing.
Okay. And I'm sure you've done your investigation on this. They asked branch manager Digito kung ano to, and what did she say?
At the time,